then hand it over to Cruz about dual write.
Okay, thank you, Ludwig. I'm going to start sharing. Can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, we can see that. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you. Thanks to all the attendees joining me today on a Saturday. And well, as Ludwig said, and as you can see here on this very long title, this is a session about dual write. But within dual write, what I'm going to talk about today is how we can make our own customization. So dual write comes with great standard out-of-the-box integrations, but we can also extend this and customize dual write to make it work for our specific requirements. And this is what I'm going to talk about. Although this is customization, don't fear, this is going to be a technical session because dual write has a no-code, low-code approach. So this session is suitable for everyone, those with a technical background, but also those with a more functional or user experience background. Very briefly, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a senior technical architect. Currently, I am working at SA Global, and SA Global is a Microsoft partner and also an ISV. Specifically, I work in the product team within SA Global. So I'm working on the development of products based on the Dynamics 365 toolset. This includes F&O, but also this sales and HR, any D365 solution, and also the Power Platform. And this product is targeting the professional services marketing. You've got here my email address, and I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you want to contact me, just find me on LinkedIn or send me an email. Today, I'm going to talk about this list of topics here. So first, a brief introduction of what is dual write, so we can set the scene for everyone to understand the more practical part of the session today. I'll also present what are the mappings that are available out of the box. And then I'll go to this more practical part in this session, which is a demo on how to create our custom mappings, our custom integrations. And I'll also talk to you about how we can modify existing mappings. Finally, I'll talk about the application lifecycle management. So once we've done our customizations, how we can extract them from the development environment and take them to a test or a production environment. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat window, and then at the end of the session, we'll go through them. Okay, so let's start with a brief description of what is dual write. I hope that this graphical diagram represents what dual write is about. Dual write is a tool that allows us to integrate finance and operations with the Dataverse. And because we are integrating with the Dataverse, this allows us to integrate with all the Dynamics 365 apps that are based on Dataverse. That means we can integrate F&O with sales, customer service, field service, marketing, and more recently, project operations. Dual write allows for bidirectional integrations, and what it's actually doing is copying data from one database, from the F&O database to Dataverse and vice versa. So for example, we could have a scenario, very typical scenario is if we have a company with Dynamics 365 sales for their CRM process, and then they have Dynamics 365 finance for their finance process, for invoicing and any financial management. Then we would have our sales users doing all the process from contact, prospect, and then when our company actually gets this prospect to become a customer on the sales side, on Dataverse, sales will create an account, okay, which is a customer in for sales. So once this account record is created, as part of that process with dual write, we can at the same time create a customer in F&O. And then these two records are linked. So any changes that we make into the customer record in F&O will be automatically updated into the Dataverse in the same transaction and vice versa. So we can keep the account in Dataverse constantly synchronized with the customer in F&O. So initially, this is a tool to integrate out-of-the-box F&O with other solutions in the D365 ecosystem. But once we have the data in the Dataverse, we can also use the Power Platform. So it's also a tool to integrate F&O with the Power Platform. Today, there are other options to use the F&O data from the Power Platform. We can use, for example, the virtual entities, or we can use the F&O connector. But for each integration scenario, we have to do this analysis and think about which is our best integration option. I have already mentioned a few of the main features for dual write. So this is a synchronous integration. It's also bidirectional. It's near real time. With dual write, we can integrate one-to-one environment. So we can have one F&O environment with one Dataverse environment. And these two environments have to live in the same tenant. So this is a prerequisite. The recommendation is that these two environments also live in the same Azure region. It's not a restriction. They can be on different regions, but the performance will be better if they're both in the same region. The user interface, and we are going to see this today, is very simple, very intuitive. It comes with a lot of mappings out of the box. And with this simple and intuitive user interface, we can make our customizations with this low code, no code principle. And it also supports online and offline mode. So very quickly, these are the out-of-the-box integrations provided by Microsoft. So by using the standard mappings, we can achieve all these integrations. So we can, the first one is this scenario I have talked to you about. So accounting sales for customer in F&O, but then we have also integrations with field service, for example, for procurement, and we also have the project operations integration for project management. So I'm going to show you now with my environments, how are my environments connected. I'm not going to go today through the details on how we install or set up DualRide. I'm starting from my environments that are already set up, because what I want to focus today is the customizations and how we can extend this. Okay, sorry. So this is my environment, and because DualRide is integrating F&O with the Dataverse, we find we have a mixture between F&O and the Power Platform. So in order to access DualRide from F&O, we go to data management and then this DualRide tile, but we can also go from LCS. So from LCS, from our environment, we've got this Power Platform integration section with this link here, link to CDS for apps. So from here, it will take us to the DualRide screen in F&O. So here we can see that this is my environment, this is my URL, and it's linked with this environment in Dataverse in the CDS. And we can also see here that I have integrated these two legal entities. Clicking on the environment details button, it will take me to this screen. So here I can see all the details of my connection, the environment in F&O, the environment in Dataverse, and also the connections that are being used. So these connections are the ones that I'll use to integrate. And then in legal entities, I can see I have two legal entities integrated, but we can add legal entities as we need them. Going back to the main DualRide screen, we've got here all the out-of-the-box mappings. So these mappings, we have here like assets, products, contacts. So all these mappings are the ones that Microsoft provides. So for example, this one, customers B3 accounts, this is the one I have mentioned before to integrate sales and F&O with the accounts to customers. So once we understand how our environments are connected, let's go and start customizing. Okay, so I'm going to show you what's the scenario I'm going to replicate today. And in order to go to this scenario, I have created a very simple model-driven app, which is using the accounts entity or table, which is an out-of-the-box table in Dataverse, and I'm using it for customers. So I want to integrate the customers between Dataverse and in F&O, and I have added a custom field called default project group. So I want to be able to set up this default project group in my model-driven app, and I want to use the project groups from F&O. So I also have created a custom table in Dataverse for the project groups, which is very simple. It only has a group ID. Well, the company will talk to you about this later, and then a description, a project type, which is a list of values, and this can be default, which is a yes, no. So what I want is to integrate these standard project groups in F&O with this custom table. So in F&O, we have out-of-the-box project groups. So what I want is to integrate some of the fields in this table, and we have different types, and I don't want to integrate the internal ones. So the purpose of this scenario, this demo, is integrate project groups, some of the fields, a subset of the fields in the project groups in F&O with this custom table. From F&O, any project group which is not internal will be sent to Dataverse, and from the Dataverse, only the project groups where can be default is yes will be sent to F&O. So the prerequisites to implement this customization are, well, we need an F&O and a Power Platform environment linked. We already have that. We need a Power Platform publisher, and I'm going to talk you through this now, because the publisher is a concept in Power Platform, but that we don't have in F&O. Well, not exactly. We also need an F&O or finance supply chain management data entity and a Dataverse table. So let's go and check if we have anything. Well, we have our environments linked. We have already seen that before. So I have this F&O environment, which is linked with my Power Platform environment. So the first thing I need is a publisher. So the publisher in the Power Platform can be created from solutions. So we go here. If we don't have a publisher yet, we click New Solution and then click on the drop down, and we can add this publisher, our publisher here. I already have one, this DualWrite demo. If I select it and click Edit Publisher, it will open another tab. And this is the information about my publisher. So it's got display name. So this is the name that's going to be visible. And then it also has an internal name and a prefix. And this prefix is important because this prefix is going to help me identify the changes I do. So the publisher identifies me or my company as developers, as changers in the Power Platform, in the database. And the publisher is important because, and also this prefix, we can find a similarity with F&O. So as F&O X++ developers, we all have learned to use a prefix when we create customizations for our customers, so we can easily identify what we do. This is similar. So with the publisher, we can very easily find the elements that we have created. Okay, so we have our publisher, well, this is this concept that we need to understand, which is it's a bit special for us if we are used to work in F&O, but not that different. And then we need our F&O entity. If we go to data management and click on data entities, we've got all this list of data entities. Well, all these entities can be used in DualWrite. I mean, any entity that we have out of the box, extended, customized, that we could use for data migration or for all data integrations, can also be used in dual write. We don't need to set up any property or any special setting for it to be available for dual write. That means we can use all this list. So I'm going to try and find a project groups, and there's a project groups entity out of the box, and this is the one I'm going to use. If I go to target fields, it has a lot of fields, but it has the subset of fields that I need for my custom table. If you do an extension or create a custom entity, please remember to refresh the list of entities in F&O for F&O to be aware of these changes. Okay, it's because you may find yourself making your changes, deploying your changes, but then not being able to see them on this list. Okay. So this is my F&O entity. I'm going to go with an out of the box, and the last bit we needed was Dataverse table. On Dataverse, we have the list of tables here, and again, all these tables can be used for dual write. There are some specifics that are required for dual write that I'll talk to you later on the customization, but with those specifics, any table is suitable for dual write. I have my custom table, which is this project group with my custom fields, which are the fields that I want to integrate and are the ones that I showed you before on the Mother-Driven app. Okay, so this, we are now ready. We've got all the prerequisites. So let's go and see how we let's go and see how we can do it. Okay, so as I've mentioned before, dual write is a mixture. There are some things we do in F&O and some things we do in the Power Platform. The creation of the mappings is done in F&O. So we just click here on Add Table Map, and from here we've got the section above that's for F&O, and the section below that's for Dataverse, the Common Data Service. It is very important that, and this is a limitation of dual write, only the person that linked the environments is going to be able to add new mappings. Okay, so from here, if I click table, that's going to show me all the entities. I'm going to select my project groups, and if I click on the Common Data Service, if I click table here, I also see all the tables, and then I can select my project groups here. Before continuing with this, I just want to clarify this about the user. So this action here of adding a new table map, adding this mapping, when I click in table to get the list of tables, this is using the connection that we saw before on the environment details. So this connection is linked to the user that set up the environment's linkage between F&O and the Power Platform Dataverse. So only that user is going to be able to do this. So in order to avoid this process to be just so tied to a person, in this scenario, I have set up the environments, but if I go on holiday, if I'm on a sick leave, if I leave the company, nobody's going to be able to add new mappings. So it's recommended to use service account. So do that setup with a service account. So this service account can be shared across different users. Just this limitation is only to add new mappings. Modifying existing mappings or adding field mappings can be done by any user. I hope that this limitation does not stay long and Microsoft finds a solution for this in the short term, but that's what we have today. Okay, so let's carry on. We select the publisher, and this is where I select my publisher and set a version. I'll talk to you about versions later because they're very important. And we also have a description. And the descriptions are very important as well because they're going to be, this is going to be a way of identifying what we've done in each version. All right, so I've got my new table map here, which is now saving, and it's going to appear in this list. We can perform searches. It's not here yet because it's being created. So let's, okay, here it is. So this is my mapping, and we can see here it's my version and my publisher. And we can see there are other publishers in here, but I can identify this because that's my publisher specifically. And I can see here the name of the entity in F&O and the name of the table in Dataverse. For some reason, on the F&O side, it shows the user-friendly name, whereas on the database side, it shows the technical name. Okay, so here we've got on our left F&O, on our right Dataverse. I want to integrate these fields here, forget about the company for now. So I just need to create these 4 mappings for these 4 fields. So I can start adding field mappings here. So I'll add a new mapping, and on the left, I can select the column from F&O. So just click in here and then select the first field, which is the project group. Okay, and this is going to be linked with the group ID in Dataverse. So we'll select this one in the Dataverse side and click OK. This map type, if I click in here, this is showing what type of integration we are implementing. So it can be bidirectional, but it can also go just one way, F&O to the CDS or the CDS Dataverse to F&O. In this case, is bidirectional. I'm going to add another one for the name, which is the name in F&O and the description in Dataverse. So we just select this. This is bidirectional, no changes here. So we'll leave it as it is. And then the next field is the project type. So I'm going to select the project type in F&O and the project type as well in my custom table in Dataverse. So this is different from the 2 other fields because the other fields are strings in both sides. We can see here, this is a string and this is a string, so they have the same data type, so we just can make this equal. But here we have an enum in F&O and a choice in Dataverse. So the enum in F&O is a list of values, fixed values. The choice in Dataverse is a list of field values. But we can see in F&O is a string. This is the list of values we have in Dataverse, but dual write is going to use the numeric value of them. We can see this numeric icon next to the W project type. Because the data types are different and the values are different as well, we have to implement a transformation. It's still bidirectional, but we have to transform the F&O values into the Dataverse values and vice versa. So we are going to select here a transformation type of value map, and this value map is going to allow me to establish this mapping one-to-one. So I can say this value in F&O from the enum is going to be translated into this value, which is a numeric value on the Dataverse choice. Okay, and I can add all these different translations for all the elements in my enum in F&O to all the elements in my choice in Dataverse. Okay, the way we represent the enum values and the choice values is different for each side. So on the F&O, we use the name of the enum element as it appears on the AOT. And so if we are, this is where we need a developer to tell us the name of the element in the AOT. So it's not the user-friendly name, it's the technical name. On Dataverse, we use the numeric value. So we have to go to the table, select the field, click in here, and then we see this is a choice. So we click edit choice, and we can see here the values, the user-friendly names. But then we see these three dots. We click in there, view more, and this is going to give me the value, which is a numeric value. So we just copy from here, go to this screen, remove the commas, and that's it. This is the translation. And then we add the next one. We're going to do fixed price, and then we need the next value. And here, click on the three dots again, view more, get the value, copy, go back to F&O, paste it, remove the commas, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to do more, but it's just adding. So we can see on the icon, this is a transformation. And then the last one, this can be default field. This is a field that has two values, yes and no, and it only exists on Dataverse. It does not exist on my F&O, and I don't really need it. So this is also a special case because I'm going to set up a mapping with a default value. So there's nothing on the F&O side. On the Dataverse side, I've got this can be default, but then here I'm going to add a transformation, but I'm also going to say, well, this is only going from F&O to Dataverse because the other way around, I don't need to do anything. And then add a transformation as a default. and it's going to be true. So this means that every time I create a project group in F&O that syncs with Dataverse, it's going to give this value true. So I am saving, and I am saving on the version 1000. Okay? Okay. So before moving on to adding more conditions to this, I'm going to talk to you about the company field. So I mentioned before that any table in Dataverse can be used, but it has some restrictions, and the company is one of them. Because, well, for us F&O developers or consultants, well, we've got the legal entity in our blood. We've lived with legal entities all our life with AX, Accepta, F&O, whatever. However, on the Dataverse, that concept does not exist. So DualWrite has added this concept to enable the integration with multiple legal entities. So with DualWrite, we have this table company in Dataverse, which, as we enable DualWrite, populates with all the companies of all the legal entities that we have. Any new legal entity we create will also be created here. And this table comes out of the box with the DualWrite solution. So we've got this provided by Microsoft, but then any table that we create or use for DualWrite needs to have a company field, which is a lookup that establishes a relationship with that out-of-the-box company table. So this column, company, in my project group table establishes this relation with the companies. Please note that I don't need to set up the mapping here for the company, because this is something that DualWrite will do for me in the background. Okay? And as we saw before, we can have one or many legal entities synchronized. This will do this for the legal entities that we have integrated with DualWrite. Okay, so that's one of the requirements on the Dataverse tables. We have another requirement, which is the integration key. So we need the table to have a key that matches the key on the entity that we are using from F&O. And we can access all the integration keys from the main DualWrite screen. So we've got here this button, integration key. So we can see here for each mapping that we are using the fields that make up that integration key. So for my project group, this is the group ID and the company code. And this integration key is going to allow DualWrite to establish this link between each record in F&O and each record in Dataverse. And this link is going to allow us use DualWrite not only to create records, but also to update and delete, because this is how DualWrite is going to identify which record in F&O corresponds to which record in Dataverse. Okay, so our table in Dataverse has all these requirements. So I'm going to finish this customization by adding a couple of filters, because in this scenario, we only want some of the project groups in F&O to go to Dataverse and some of the project groups to go from Dataverse to F&O. And we can achieve this by setting up filters. So next to each entity name, we've got this funnel. If we click on the funnel, we can see these windows. In this window, we can set up a query. Okay, this query is going to be based only in the fields that are available in the table, so we cannot use other tables. Okay. I need to use, I want to, on the Dataverse side, I want to sync only those with can be default true. And I'm using here OData notation for Dataverse. On the F&O side, I want only those where project type is not internal. On the F&O side, I'm going to use X++ language. Okay. So I'm going to express my query here as we do with ranges. So it will start with a bracket, and then the name of the field I want to filter, that's project type, and then that's not equal. So this is X++, it's not OData as we do on the Dataverse. Name of the enum and then enum element. So I'm excluding here the project groups where the project type is not internal. I'm going to save it here, but I'm going to save a new version because this is quite a big change. So I'm going to create a new version because if it doesn't work, I can always come back to the previous one. And I want to give it a description of why this is a new version, because I have added these filters. Versioning is important. So once we have a mapping that's running and working, and the recommendation is to like when you start, make baby steps, try with some basic and start growing up. So for each big change, I recommend creating a new version. So all the versions are available here on this table map version. We've got these two with the description, and the versions allow me to come back to what I did before. So if I make a change, it doesn't work for any reason, I can always come back and use the previous version and give more time to improve the changes, investigate, do what I have to do on it. Okay, so let's now go and see how this works. I've got my projects group here, so I'm going to run it. So I just need to, I could do this from the main screen as well, but click on run, click run. So this is now going to start running. It takes a few seconds. It's starting now. So once this is running, I can go and create a new project group in F&O. I'm going to create my project group, which I'm going to call FO Bootcamp. So I'll give this project group name. This is going to be a simple time and material. I'll give the description, and I'm not changing the project type, and save. So now this is saving, and is saving in the Dataverse as well. So if I go to my model-driven app and click refresh in here, this is now showing this project group in Dataverse, so we can see it's working. All right, so we've seen how to create our custom table map, but we can also modify existing maps. Existing mappings like the out of box. mapping. So for example, in my scenario, I have added a new field to the customers table, and then I have added this new field into the customers entity. And I want to use this new field, extend the mapping provided by Microsoft to include this new field. So I'm going to go now to implement this customization. But first, I want to show you how this field has been added in Dataverse. The account table is out-of-the-box table. It's a standard table. I have added this custom field here, and I want to make you know this is a lookup field. Lookup establishes a relationship. So internally, this is not a string, this is a GUID. And this GUID establishes a relationship with other table, in this case, my project groups table. So this is very similar to what we do in F&O. So in F&O, when we use the rec ID to establish a relationship with other table, so the rec ID is not meaningful by itself. So the lookup is very similar to this. It'd be like a similar concept. So I have also added this field here. So on the customers in F&O, I've got this default project group. So what I want to do is modify the customers to accounts mapping. So this, can you see this closed backlog? This means this is a managed solution. When this is managed, it means we cannot modify it. So we cannot make changes to it, but we can say it, extend it. In reality, what we can do is to create a copy of it. Okay, and then make our changes on the copy. So I'm going to add a new mapping to add this field. And then I'm going to select the field from the F&O side. I have added this SA default project group ID. So I'll select it. It's not been picked up, so I'm going to do this again. Select this one, click OK, and then on the other side, I'll select my project group. So notice here that I have two fields. So the first bit of it is the name of the lookup field, and then we've got dot, and then the name of the related field. Okay, and I can see two fields. These are the two fields in my integration key. So when I use a lookup field, Dual Write is providing this to us, so I don't need to do anything. So Dual Write is clever enough to allow me to establish this relationship, string to string, and it will find itself the related record and the GUID value. Okay, so here I cannot save because I cannot modify. I can only save as. So I'm going to save as with my publisher and then give a version. This is a version number for my publisher, so I don't have to worry about using the same number, and a meaningful description always. So I'm going to save, and this is making a copy of this table map with my modification. So when I go back to the main screen, this new version that I have created is now available, and notice that the padlock is open. That's because now it's not managed, it's unmanaged. I own this customization, and then I can make changes to it. Okay, so just to finish, we've seen how we can create our custom mappings, how we can customize existing mappings, but now how do we extract this from our development environments, how we take this to our UAT test production environments. So this is all about application lifecycle management. I have also mentioned a couple of times with dual write, we have to move between F&O and the Power Platform. It's actually a mixture. So while we've been doing all our customizations in F&O, when it comes to the ALM, we have to use the Power Platform. So in order to extract these customizations from our development environment, we need to use a Power Platform solution. So what we are going to do is to create a solution, add these mappings to the solution, because these mappings that we have created from F&O have actually been created as elements in the Power Platform, in our Dataverse environment. Then we'll publish the solution and export the solution. And this is going to generate a zip file that we can take to the other environment we're going to use. So let's go and do this. So we go to our Power Platform environment, go to solutions and new solution. We give display name, a technical name, publisher and version. Once it's created, we have to add the mappings. So we are going to go here, add existing, other, and then dual write table. And here, that's where the prefix comes useful, because by typing the prefix, I can very easily find my customizations. I'm going to select these two, export, publish. Once it's published, I could run the checker, but I'm not doing it, and export. We've got these options, managed and unmanaged. The recommendation is to do it managed. And this is going to create this zip file. And this is the zip file that we are going to take to another environment. So just very briefly about managed and unmanaged. Managed will create these mappings into the other environment with closed padlocks, so cannot be modified. Unmanaged will create the mappings in the other environment with open padlocks, so we can modify them. All right. Okay, so we've got our file, and then what we need to do to install it. So in our target, that could be the UAT or prod environment. In our target environment, we are going to use a mixture between Power Platform and F&O. So we need to import the solution in the Power Platform and then apply this solution in F&O at the dual write screen. And when a new version has been created, like what we've done for customers, we need to go to that specific table map and apply the version. All right, so this is my target environment. In the Power Platform, I got the solutions, click import. I'm going to select my zip file, This is my zip file. Open it and click next. And just, I've got the information here, import. And this is going to create the solution here in the Power Platform. Once it's here, I need to go to F&O on my target environment, click Apply Solution, and then select the solution I have just imported. And this is my dual write demo table maps, and apply. So this is going to create all the new table maps like the project group, but where I have done modification of existing one, like the customers. I need to find my customers. It's here. It's using the standard one. Select it, select table map version, and here I want to select my version, the one that I have imported, and click Save. So now it's taken my version with my customization with the default project. And that's everything I wanted to tell you about Dual Write. The official Microsoft Docs page about Dual Write, it's really good. It's got lots of information, details of all the mappings in the out-of-the-box integration. I'm going to share these links in the chat window with you. And I also find very interesting this article by Microsoft on recommendations to choose a data integration strategy, because we have so many options now that we need to understand what's the best solution for each scenario. And with that, a big thank you for being here and for having me. I don't know if we have any questions.
Yes, thank you, Chris. It was a very excellent and good explanation of the dual write customization options. I've seen some questions in the past also